This episode of the Coat Check contains coarse language, adult material, and one baby who's going to be party to quite a bit of swearing. Isn't that right, Sammy? Oh, Sammy's playing with a mic. Sammy, don't you fuck up that mic. Sam, you got a burp for us? You gonna burp? Or are you just gonna tear down this chicken coop filter? Good job, you broke the mic. You little piece of shit. Anyway, enjoy the show. Good day, sunshine. Okay, so it's 2009. It's the middle of spring. And my managers at work have been wildly unprofessional. They say, hey, you know who you should try hanging out with is Bridget Griffin-Bales. And Bridget and I had known each other. We were friends. But honestly, I hadn't thought of her as someone I could ask out on a date. But they were doing the same thing to her, saying, hey, you should go hang out with Jeremy Mower. So I contact her and I say, listen, the managers are making me look like a jackass here. So before things get any worse, do you want to go catch a movie someday? And she said yes, and we went out to see Up, the Pixar movie. And the rest is history. In 2015, we married. And we said our vows to each other, and we agreed that no matter what, we would live with each other and be happy together and raise a family together from here until death do us part. And I haven't had any regrets about that until today, because my wife does not like the Beatles. Our romance has come from an all you need is love standpoint, where it's just talking about the beauty of affection, to she loves you, yeah, where actively I'm going to need to apologize to her after this podcast, because I'm straight up going to destroy my wife on this, the latest episode of the Coat Check with special guest Bridget Mower, because Bridget hates the Beatles. Ron, the theme. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this, the latest episode of the Coat Check. I am the Walrus, Jeremy Mower.
I am the Eggman, Tom Dominkovich.
Well done. How are you doing, Tom?
Fantastic, Moore. How are you doing?
We'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
First, we have a very special guest who I don't want to have to keep silent on the microphone this entire time. Mm-hmm. She is twice a lady in the Society for Creative Anachronism. She is an employee at the same grocery store as us. She is a wonderful seamstress. Tom, give me something else here.
Is your wife
Yes.
the mother of your child?
She is struggling not to laugh into the microphone. Very much underestimate. Oh, God, the baby's already crying. She is my wife and the mother of my child, who is outside the room right now in what will inevitably be exhibit number 26 in my child neglect case. She's Bridget Mower. Bridget, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Oh, the baby's crying, though, so that is causing me some stress.
Yes. Oh, God, it's like just nails on a chalkboard.
Producer Ron's got it.
So,
the producer Ron is on
What
the
about
ball.
that prolactin that you were talking about? Doesn't it make you a better father?
did you... Oh, because you've listened to every episode like 6 times.
Yeah, more than that. You gotta
I'm
give me
fine
some
with it.
credit. You're okay with it?
I'll tell you what it is. I don't remember if I said this in episode 1, because Jesus Christ, but back before I had a kid, we would be working at our grocery store, and there would be crying babies in the store, and it would just be infuriating. Mm-hmm. And now, like, I hear that, and I just think, oh, I miss my baby.
Oh, okay.
It's actually quite calming. So, fuck you, Tom. The point stands.
All right. You don't have to get an attitude about it.
Yes. So we're all in here in the closet. Bridget, you're our second guest ever. How does it feel?
It feels awesome. I'm so excited. I
That's
walked into the
fantastic.
closet and I was like, oh, this is where the magic happens.
It is not. This is where horrible, horrible things happen.
That's true. I guess the magic happens on Ron's end.
And for frame of reference, it's probably going to pick up on the mics a little, but our executive producer, Ron Rucci, has often complained that the only thing he does during the taping of these episodes is he checks the internet. Like, he presses record, and then he's playing solitaire. So we've included a live baby to add to the difficulty level for him a bit, keep him engaged. It does not sound like it's going well so far. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Ron, you got that?
Ron might be dead.
Ron.
What?
Ron, do you want me to...
Consoling your baby.
Oh, thanks. Do you want me to come... do you want me to come out and console my baby?
What do you need me to produce here?
That's fair.
If you
Ron,
need me to come out there, Ron, you just say the word.
Ron, she should have a pacifier that you can use. I don't want to tell you how to do our job, but
Do I just jam it in the mouth?
You really just make sure it's right
Yeah.
side up. The Moogle is standing up straight and plug it right in her face.
for frame of reference, she has now cried in the last 3 minutes, like more than she has during our entire time parenting over the last 7 months. So this is enlightening. All right, so I want to discuss something to start. You guys asked how I was doing.
I didn't ask.
Okay, that's fair.
I did ask how you were
Thanks,
doing.
hon. But Tom did.
Tom does care.
Yeah, because
And I care too.
you know what
I
it
just-
is? Tom's a professional podcast host. He's
Someone's
got the
paying you guys for this?
experience. Whereas, you're a guest. It's your first time. And you are sitting on the literal edge of your seat, ready to
She's
bolt out of the room. I'm having, I think, the beginning of a mental breakdown. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I was at Walmart today because a friend of the show, Nick McCarter, took his extra set of headphones with him after his episode, episode 5, Nick Hates Meat. And as a result, we didn't have headphones, a fact that executive producer Ron Rucci did not bother to bring up until about a half hour before we recorded. So, for frame of reference, we have the baby here who's freaking out. I am going to be at least 15 minutes late. And as I'm running through this Walmart, which is just the happiest place on earth, and I am trying to find headphones and cords and all this other shit. By the way, like, none of it worked out. The song...
I'm gonna go get her.
We'll be right back. Ron, you can just, edit this part down
I'm
so
sorry,
that
Ron.
it's seamless.
I'm sorry.
I think he's going to leave it in.
He's probably going
He's
to
going
leave
to leave it in.
I know you're so tired. I know you're so tired.
This is all picking up.
It is.
It is
this
great.
this is gold right here.
All right, so I'm going to continue talking to you, Tom.
Oh boy.
So, I was at Walmart, and full disclosure, Patton Oswalt does an entire bit where he's shopping for low-calorie meals, and Toto's Africa comes in, and he's like, "Oh, if I committed suicide right now, I'd be fine with that." I understand that this is not a deliberate parody of that, but
Yeah.
I'm in Walmart, racing past all the desperate people who are just blowing out the shelves, and as I'm there, Everybody's Working for the Weekend comes on the radio.
Oh, I love that song.
Who performs it? Do you remember?
Loverboy.
Loverboy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So Everybody's Working for the Weekend comes on, and I have a bit of an epiphany.
Tell me about it.
This, what we're doing right now,
Right.
it's Wednesday currently. Mm-hmm. This is my weekend,
Yeah.
which means that I work 5 days a week, something close to 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And I am striving and struggling so that I can come here into this closet with you to do a podcast that it sounds like our listenership has actually dropped.
I think it has declined a
is
little bit.
moving in the wrong direction. And you posted on our Facebook group, the Coat Check on Facebook. Join it. It's actually really funny. Tom does some great work there. You posted a text message between you and Ron, basically describing this as my own Dante's Inferno type hell. And I realized that what I've been doing, like, this brings me no pleasure. This brings me no relaxation. Bridget's rejoining the podcast
Welcome
with
back,
a
Bridget.
slight addition.
You gotta. There you go. And you gotta get the other one.
I got it.
There we
you
go. That was graceful. So I realized that here I am on my weekend, racing around Walmart trying to find recording equipment for a podcast that does not necessarily relax me. My wife has been telling me for the last several days that she's going to straight up destroy me on this podcast.
I think I will.
And it's, what am I doing this for?
To hang out with your friends and have a good time.
'Cause it's
When?
fun.
You're here.
When does that happen?
You're
hanging
here
out
with Tom. You're here with Ron. You're here with your lovely wife and your child, and we're all having a great time.
Special guest Sammy Mower in what will be Exhibit 27 in our
Welcome to the closet, Sammy.
childhood neglect case.
This is the most people that we've had in the closet so far.
Yes, we are breaking records and possibly temperature records as well. We'll see how it goes. So that's where my head is at as we record this. This is ridiculous. We are now up to 4 people and a cat.
Hey, Lily.
Hi, Lily.
Executive producer Ron Rucci really setting us up for success here. And we've got a glass of water that I poured, which I will inevitably spill before the end of this. That said, enough of my problems, because this thing's already on pace to last 3.5 hours. Let's go to the mailbag real quick. It's going to be a short one, because the only email that we've gotten was from last night. Nick McCarter emailed us. Let me just fire up the old I hate this stupid podcast at gmail.com account.
Caitlin said she emailed you. Did that not happen?
I have not seen... Caitlin emailed me before the last episode. Okay, we can read that too. Who gives a shit? Nothing matters. God's dead. That's right, Sammy. God is dead.
God is dead! The government's lying!
All right, so Caitlin Carley wrote on June 5th. Hi, y'all. First, I don't hate this podcast, and it isn't stupid. I love it. You guys always make me laugh, and it is so entertaining listening to Tom and Ron. Oh, God damn it. Lily is flopping
Lily
over.
was playing with a piece of paper. It was really cute.
It is so entertaining listening to Tom and Mower and Ron's occasional comments. I love the editing because the music is great and peppy, and especially last week with the Lord of the Rings reference. Quote, keep it safe, made me do a real LOL.
Yes.
I was like, this podcast rules, that part in all caps. Keep up the good work, thanks for doing what you do. That's 3 exclamation points after good work, 4 after doing what you do. High fives, 3 exclamation points. Caitlin C., code friend, trademark. We have not filed a patent with the patent office.
Patent is still pending on that. We're waiting.
I am pretty sure that IKEA has beat us to the punch on that one, and we can't afford to lawyer up. I don't think that any intelligent message in human history has ever been communicated with LOL punctuated.
You don't hear too many documents or anything like that
Like-
saying LOL.
Yeah,
Like
people
a peace treaty.
people who communicate on Twitter, they can have these, highbrow discussions, very philosophical discussions, but then inevitably punctuate it with LOL. And I'm like, oh, retroactively, everything that you've done is garbage.
David Mitchell has a great point that LOL communicates through text what there is no good verbal way to express, is that I acknowledge you made a joke, and then you get to take how much they enjoyed that joke, and that's totally up to you. But if that's just saying via text,
But
is not comes off as constantly sarcastic.
But mostly
LOL
people-
is I acknowledge you made a joke. Good job. Moving
mostly
on.
people don't do it for other people's jokes. They don't it's not following a joke. Instead, they make their own joke, and they then punctuate it with LOL, which is the same as laughing at your own joke. It's something that terrible people do. We might have to get into this in a future episode.
Yeah,
Mower
maybe
hates
texting,
internet
yeah.
abbreviations.
Mower hates the internet.
Mower hates emoticons. I could totally get behind that.
Yeah,
We'll
what?
watch the entirety of the Emoji Movie
You did?
beforehand. No, we will.
Oh, I'm not.
We will. The other email, thank you very much for the email, Caitlin, and sorry if we haven't read it before now, but I'm not professional.
Nope.
Nick writes, Tom, I heard your special guest is Bridget, which thanks for that, Nick. I don't count. So just asking for a friend what your hourly rate for marriage counseling is. Also, if you were talking to B and J for like an hour, who the hell is watching Sammy? Also, ask Bridget if Jeremy has ever put on the Professor Mower hat in bed. I imagine he cosplays Professor Mower with a monocle and a tweed jacket with leather elbow patches, ... and nothing else. At least that's how I would do it. Much love, your #1 fan.
I mean, if we're just talking like physical location, then yes, he has been in the bed and been Professor Mower.
Yes.
But if we're talking about like...
I have totally mansplained your labia to you in the past. It's okay. Sammy doesn't know what a labia is.
I know, but Tom might.
I heard the whole thing.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. Vaginas. I've seen them. So let's take this one at a
I'm
time.
never going to be able to look at Tom in the eye again.
Tom, do you think that you could be a marriage counselor?
Absolutely not.
Are you sure? Because we might need it today.
No. I'm just along for the ride. And to say something occasionally.
Tom, if you had to refer to initials for myself and my wife, would you go B and J, which would suggest a blowjob, or J and B, which would suggest jailbait?
Either one isn't very good, but I'd have to say a B and J.
Okay. Probably the mowers would be the best.
The mower's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that Sam just seems fascinated by Tom. She just keeps looking at him and reaching out for him and just really wants to be buds.
Well, Tom keeps antagonizing her by poking her. Oh, he just poked her little leg pudge, and she's reaching for the microphone. We're just going to live cast this entire thing, play by play.
Baby podcast.
Finally, I'll answer my question. When I cosplay as Professor Mower, there is no wardrobe involved. I just won't shut up and no one has any fun. So that does it for the emails. We can close up the mailbag.
Okay. Thanks for emailing, everybody.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
absolutely. If you want to ask a question that I will ignore for at least 3 episodes, email us at ihatethestupidpodcast@gmail.com. All one word, no LOL necessary. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment, because I'm very seamless with my transitions like that.
Smooth.
This is Wedding Watch 2018. Till Dominkovich do us part. Ron! Ron, you jumped it, man. You jumped the intro.
That was a little loud. You should have seen Bridget jump. That was so good.
We're going to need a mop in here, dude.
Let's try this again. I'd like you to wait until I finish it. This is Wedding Watch 20... All right, screw it. You
shouldn't egg him on like that. You're asking for it.
To do it's fine. Every time I talk, he's probably going to back it up with like the slow tuba from Family Guy. So
This is why Ron is my favorite.
yeah, that's understandable. Tom,
Yes.
you have chosen a venue.
We got the venue on the LD, which stands for lockdown.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say lowdown, which makes my announcing it on a freaking podcast very poor play.
No.
Congrats.
All right.
on the
Hey,
venue.
thank you.
Tell us.
All right, so we visited with 3 venues. 2 of them were country clubs. We went to one in Marlboro, which is like actually right down the street from where Caitlin and I live. It was a good venue, but not really our style. We went to Apple Orchard and Farm in Leominster, which was beautiful, fantastic venue. And it was either between that or the third one we saw. The third one was a country club in Bolton, which was very nice, but not really our scene. Mm-hmm. So we went with the place in Leominster. We got the date all set. Caitlin has her dress. We have colors, even though I don't know what they are.
Jesus Christ, this has really gotten away from me. We should be doing more of these podcasts more often. All right.
Sammy.
Sammy dropped her pacifier.
Yeah, no, that's going to happen. She's a fucking baby.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Also, I talked to my mom about this podcast. She really hates it when I swear. She's only listened to the first episode, so I think we're in the clear, but she might be lying again. So
She may not be the target demographic.
she is, everyone's the target demographic.
My mom asked me if it was okay for her to listen to the podcast, and I said probably not. It is not mom friendly. I mean,
My mom looked at me and she's like, "Oh, Eric Clapton dead kid jokes. That's uncalled for. Swearing so much, such crude material." And I'm like, "You do not want to listen to the rest of the episodes then." So when is your wedding?
we set the date for September 29th, 2019.
2019. Okay.
Yes.
Remind me, I will mark that down later. For a moment I was worried because I think we have another wedding on September 29th this year or something
Well,
like
if it was
that.
this year, it would be in like 2-3 months. So
They've already got a venue. They've got colors
for
of
next
some
year.
sort.
It would be very impressive if you could line up a venue in 3 months.
Does this mean that I will be able to pick apples while at your wedding?
Yeah. There are actually some Granny Smiths growing on the trees right now.
I would definitely go for Honeycrisp. Honeycrisp is the
Tom,
best.
You're going to
apple.
get Granny Smith or you're going to get nothing.
Did you know
It-
that he has not a violent allergic, but definitely an allergic reaction
It's
to apples?
fine.
So I believe that this is a threat he's making to you.
Is it just raw apples? Can you have
Yes.
them in a pie?
That's correct. It's
Oh, yeah,
just
I have the
raw
same
apples.
thing.
It's like a pollen. Well, either a pollen or a chemical issue.
Okay. It could be the pesticides on the skin of the apple.
It totally could be.
Okay.
But I've tried it. Oh, well, with organic apples, it wouldn't matter because they still use
Yeah.
pesticides. It's
They
just not
use
chemical
they use
pesticides.
they use organic pesticides.
That's neither here nor there. Last episode, you asked me if I would officiate your wedding.
I was about to ask, how's that coming?
Seems like a terrible judgment call on your part.
I think it could be pretty entertaining.
I am still working out the price of my services, but as far as requirements, I have studied up, and it only costs $25 to become an officiant for the day.
Yeah.
And I realize that this gives me a platform where I can say whatever I want. Like, proper protocol would be me going to you and Caitlin and being like, what's the proper tenor? Is there anything specific you want me to say? I'm not going to do any of that. It'll be in the midst of fantasy football season, so for one, I won't even have time to do that. I'm just going to wing it. So the answer is yes, Tom. I am going to officiate your wedding into the goddamn ground.
All right, sounds good.
It is going to be a magical experience, but like a black magic that curses everyone in its proximity.
Another good thing about the venue that other venues didn't have is the place we're looking at has 2 TVs, and it's going to be on a Sunday.
You mentioned that.
So it was a no-brainer.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to have my push notifications on my phone, so if Le'Veon Bell scores a touchdown, I'll just be like, oh, look at that. 30 yards out. Awesome. So yes, that's settled. You now have an officiant.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, that's
either.
pretty cool. And I think we're going to have Nick McCarter doing the sound as well.
That's
We can-
fantastic.
We can vouch for him as being an amazing sound at wedding guy.
Can I bring my wife and kid?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that covers everything for now.
I think
we
that's
should
it.
get Caitlin's input at some point. But this has been Wedding Watch 2018. Till Dominkovic do us part. Ron. God damn it, Ron.
You had one fucking
This
job
is
to do.
totally a duck-amuck scenario where just animator, get your shit together. Okay, thank you, Ron.
It's good.
Hey, it's hard hitting these buttons.
I know it's
And
hard,
it's-
Ron.
it's very-
That's why you got your promotion.
You're doing such a
So
great
many
job.
buttons.
It's so many buttons. Wait, is it really?
Yes.
Isn't it like 2 buttons? It's like stop recording and the...
Mouse button.
Okay, let's get into today's topic at hand. I think this is the most nuclear hot debate topic of all time.
I remember the very moment when I was like, oh, this should be like a topic that I bring to the podcast, because you looked at me after I said it and you said, wow, that's a hot take.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that phrase, by the way. That's a
Oh,
hot
yeah.
take.
Oh, it's a fantastic.
It's so good. I use it
I
at
still
work.
stand by the title. That's a spicy take ball. today's main topic, Bridget hates the Beatles, which I can't believe. Now, to clarify, we need to set some ground rules. You don't hate the Beatles' entire discography because that would make you a just horrible monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose we should skip over the part where I disagree with the very premise of this podcast.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Take us through it.
No, because people like what they like, as said on the much more successful podcast, Judge John Hodgman.
Oh, thank you for that, for marrying us. No, I'm sure Max Fun needs the added exposure from our 5 listeners.
But yeah, people like what they like, and that's okay. And people hate what they hate, and that's okay. I like as long as nobody's getting hurt. It's honestly fine. So just that being said, this is not a good premise for a podcast. But you guys make it work. But
That's debatable.
When babies come into Tom's place of employment, that actively hurts him.
I saw a picture of Tom holding a baby. In fact, real life, I saw Tom holding a baby, my baby. And
Like
he
a
was,
half hour ago.
He was looking nervous, but like cautiously happy about it.
I was actually pretty okay with it.
Yeah,
But actually not okay. I was pretty excited. I've never held a baby in my life, and I'd always been afraid of dropping it because I don't want to end your child's life. I would never be able to
Believe
forgive
me,
myself.
You get over that hump very quickly.
But it was actually pretty exciting, holding a baby, and baby seemed to not mind it too much. Didn't cry its head off, so I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, but it's okay if you don't like babies. Not everybody's required to like babies. It's okay to hate coffee.
Yeah,
Not
but if
everybody
someone
likes
throws coffee in my face or demands that I chug it,
well, see, then that's hurting somebody, and then that's where it's not. That's where the line is. So,
there you
my
go.
opinion on the
my
Beatles.
opinions are justified. Yeah, this show is justified. We'll probably just try to rip off someone else's concept at some point when we get bored with this.
Anyways, yes, I don't like the Beatles, and that's okay. But I specifically don't like their later popular stuff. I like their early super boppy, I guess the term is highly processed. Designed, like, formatted to appeal to teeny boppers.
The Beatles began in the early 60s, and before they became popular, they were quite a different band, sort of had a punkish feel to them where they would wear leather jackets on stage and specifically bring buckets of fried chicken that they would consume while performing. This is an actual thing. And then they eventually met their manager, whose name escapes me right now, and he's like, "You're not going to be able to sell this. Trust me, I can help you sell this." And they became that poppy, everyone wearing the matching suits, much happier discography.
So I guess when I say early Beatles, I don't mean like the German years. I mean like they're British. They're British invasion of America stuff. That's what I like.
That's fair. So like, looking at their early discography.
Oh yeah, no, I've got like I made myself a list. I separated. Certainly not all their music, because actually when I was going through a list of Beatles music in preparation for this podcast, I was like, I've never heard of that song, never heard of that song, never heard of that song. But the ones I did recognize, I categorized for myself. So like the stuff that I like consider it, great, is like, I want to hold your hand, and she loves you. And
Tom, if you don't recognize any of these, just signal and I can cue it up. I've got Amazon Music on here.
Sure.
So, plug
One
for
of my
Amazon Music.
favorite earlier Beatles songs is "You Can't Buy Me Love."
Yeah.
I think that song's really cool. It's a
so
nice
good, and
upbeat song. Yeah, it's a real feel-good song.
Yes.
That's a good song. But that's like early Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
So someone else continue, because I got nothing else to say.
Well, like Twist and Shout, I dig that one, and then it goes like sort of. A lot of it goes downhill from there, and then it goes sort of like, oh, this is cute, but I don't like it, and that one's okay. Not, I wouldn't listen to it on loop. Kind of thing.
Yep. I think there's definitely, in reviewing their discography, I think there's a line that you can draw where you would go from happy with the music to what is this? This is weird. And that's the line between 65 and 66. In 65, they recorded Rubber Soul, which I think you would really enjoy as an album. That includes songs like, let me just look this up, Baby, You Can Drive My Car.
I don't like that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Norwegian Wood you
I
probably
don't know what
wouldn't
that
like.
one is.
Nowhere Man?
I don't like that one.
Okay, Michelle.
So I like that for a very specific reason, which actually is kind of a big category of their music for me, is songs that I like for personal or nostalgic reasons. When like we had the on VHS, we had A Hard Day's Night. They made a movie.
Mm-hmm. I've heard
And
of it.
I like almost every song in there, but I know it's because that was sort of like when I think of the Beatles, I think of that music and just it's been a hard day's night. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's boppy and I like that.
All right.
But and then Michelle falls in that category because of like I associate it with stuff from my childhood.
Okay, well then let's walk this back a little bit to Help.
That was on Hard Day's Night. So
No, Help was its own album.
that was on the movie Hard Day's Night.
Yes.
So I like that because it's on that.
So Help, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away.
You're naming all the songs that are on this movie.
Yep, I know that. I am listing songs on the album so that we can draw a line.
Okay.
Okay. Songs that you're going to recognize. Ticket to Ride.
I don't like that one.
You don't like Ticket to Ride. Oh, God, this is such...
Can I tell you why? Like, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Indulge us, please.
Yeah. So, I think that the Beatles, in all of their songs, are overplayed and overhyped. So certainly, working in a retail situation like we do, we hear a lot of Beatles songs, guys.
Tons of them.
I'm
We
okay
hear
with
a
that.
lot of Beatles songs, and some of them are nice, but then you hear Ticket to Ride 3 times in a day, and you're like, I'm kind of done with Ticket to
See,
Ride.
I've never heard a song more... Very rarely have I heard a song more than once, and I've never been so lucky that it's been a Beatles song. Usually it's something like Chantilly Lace by the Big Bopper, a song that I abhor.
That song's so good. Hello, babe.
I got to explain to Jeremy what Chantilly Lace was. I mean,
Yeah,
like, not
I
the
thought
song,
it was
but like
Chantilly
the item.
Lake
Yeah.
for a while
What's a
there.
Chantilly lace?
Chantilly lace is a style of lace that is from the Chantilly region, and it's associated with we're gonna say underage girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's sweet and innocent, and Chantilly lace, and
Okay.
little.
Well, that
like-
definitely puts a damper on the song.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. No,
okay.
it's delicate.
I will never look at Big Bopper the same.
No one will. Let's see. They had a sort of a demo album in between called Beatles for Sale. The only song from that really stands out is Can't Buy Me Love, which actually didn't originate on that one. I believe that came from A Hard Day's Night. So this, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get. You like A Hard Day's Night?
Yeah.
Tom, like 1 through 5, if you would, how much do you like this song? Where 1 is, I hate this song, I can't stand it, and 5 is, I really enjoy this song.
Hard Day's Night?
Hard Day's Night.
That's what Hard Day's Night. Been working like a dog. Yeah. I'd have to say it's about a 4.
That one had a mystery to it where that first note, that first twang, everyone's like, oh, how did they do that? Because they only have 4 band members, and that sound like no matter how many times you try to recreate it, it's impossible. And the
That
answer
is-
is their manager came and
Yeah.
hit the
I remember
piano.
being in a band and we wanted to cover a Beatles song, and the guitarist and drummer would talk often about that one twang, that one very beginning. And they're like, yeah, how did they do that? And the guitarist, he explained it, but I wasn't paying attention. So it's still a mystery to me because I haven't Googled it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I Love Her, which is more of a ballad.
And I love her. How's that one go?
I love her. Do, 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 do. I'm sure Ron will probably edit
Oh
in
yeah,
the real song.
yeah. It's ringing a bell for me. That one I would put in middle of the road, mostly because I can't remember too much about it right now. But I've got.
We're gonna call it up.
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
want us to get sued, Ron?
I mean, I don't have to play it.
Yeah, you only need like 7-second clips. And then finally the...
Yeah, my internet's off. Never mind.
The
don't worry about
last
it.
song on side 1 was Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah, I can't buy me love.
All right, so that's our line. A Hard Day's Night. They did a total of 3 albums that you'd be relatively okay with.
Okay.
Revolver is where things start to get weird. They start to get more experimental. Let's run through this. Taxman, I thought was a brilliant song. You have heard it, and you were not a fan.
I've definitely heard it. I'm trying to see if I wrote it down on any of these things, and I don't think I did. I don't think I liked it.
Tom, your thoughts?
Taxman, that's a 5 for me. I love that song.
That's a great
Yeah,
song.
I would have put
it's
it like
upbeat.
2.
It's got a
3
political
maybe.
statement
Anytime
to it.
I did my taxes, that's the song that I would often sing to myself while I'm on TurboTax.
That's 1 for you,
the
19 for
Taxman,
me. It's
yeah.
great. Eleanor Rigby.
I don't like that one.
It's an interesting song.
I don't like that. That one's
That's
on my.
one that you hear a lot at work. But
Yeah.
That one's on my. I have a list right here up top. It says "Hate It." That's under the under Eleanor Rigby.
Because Revolver's an interesting point where they start to go from, very poppy, upbeat stuff, and they start to experiment a little bit with tempos and harmonies. And Eleanor Rigby is still upbeat, but rather than just being, all drums and all tempo, it's that weird sort of.
I would argue that Eleanor Rigby is not upbeat.
No, I don't think it is either.
Oh, is that Eleanor?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the. Da 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 da
Eleanor,
da,
Oh.
Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, shit, am I confusing songs?
Yeah.
First of all, that is still up tempo. Got some wonderful strings to it.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
completely
thought
blew
you
it.
were talking
I
about.
think you know what it is. I'm confusing Eleanor Rigby with the Turtles' Eleanor.
Eleanor G, I think you're swell.
All right, so
Yeah,
That doesn't
I guess
help
I don't
my
have any
case.
strong feelings about that song.
it's a great song. Love You Too, which is that the same? Is that Love You Do? I think I might have.
Is it that one? I know I love you.
Let's find
Love
out.
me do. Love me too? Love me also?
Oh boy.
God, the sitar.
They went pretty sitar
God,
heavy
once
later
they
on.
went sitar, they never looked back, and I feel like there were plenty of instances they should have looked back.
Now this is their remastered version. I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead a little bit.
Director's
Yeah, I could see where this wouldn't be appealing to you.
Yeah, so I've never heard that song before, and I can tell you I don't like it.
All right, we're gonna stop that.
So that style, that
Yeah. I
that
believe it.
that one makes me think like, oh, this was their high as balls period, and I don't like their high as balls period.
Love You Too marked Harrison's first foray into Hindustani classical music as a composer. Made with minimal contributions from Starr and McCartney, he recorded it with Indian musicians who provided instrumentation such as tabla, tambura, and sitar. I would submit that you are racist against Indians.
It's funny.
Which
coming
I'm
from
sure
you.
will be coming up because as we get deeper into the Beatles' discography, there's definitely Indian and Bangladeshi influences to their music.
Which
And
one of us had a Bollywood-inspired bachelorette party, Jeremy? You or me?
I mean, I
Which
think
one of us memorized songs from Lagan, the 3-hour Bollywood epic? You take your racist remarks back and you
think-
shove them right up your ass
I think
because I am
this-
serious about how much I am not a racist towards Indian people.
I think this is your equivalent of I have an Indian friend, and
I got a
thou
henna
dost
tattoo.
protest too much.
for
Thou
my,
doth.
for my wedding. I got a henna tattoo.
Yellow Submarine.
Hate it.
Hate it.
I hate it.
I like that song.
He
It's-
likes
Oh my
it.
god.
It's a fun song. It's unusual. It's fun.
It's so fucking whimsical. I
Yeah,
can't handle
it's a
it.
kid's story.
Yeah, but it's not marketed as a kid's story. It's marketed as the Beatles, which are not a children's band. It's like, oh, this is us being wacky and whimsical and weird. Isn't this fun, guys?
It was to accompany Ringo Starr's limited vocal range, which that will be a recurring theme with Ringo Starr
bully
songs.
for him, but I still don't like the song. It's too whimsical, as is Octopus's Garden,
Another Ringo.
As is Obladi.
Oh, goodness.
As is, in my opinion, Strawberry Fields Forever. That one's too whimsical for me.
Let's see. Are you familiar with She Said, She Said?
No.
If there's anything that Love You To taught me, it's that I probably am not either. So I am loading it up now.
You seem the perfect person to be doing this then.
I am doing a great job.
I agree.
Oh, boy. Oh, no, this is okay.
No, I've never heard this one.
And what are your thoughts on it? It's got a little more...
I don't dig it.
It's a little...
That's a 2 for me.
Tom?
I like it. The time signatures for that song. That's another thing that's I find amusing about the later Beatles is that they start to experiment with different time signatures as well as different instruments. So what you just played, it's like I said before, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're adding a little bit more of a complex take to music rather than just sticking with 4/4 or 8/8 or something like that. They're getting into quarter time signatures. They're getting into all sorts of different things. That's one thing also that I love about metal is that they do the same thing there. It makes it a little bit more complex. It makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah,
They're taking chances.
I would never argue that the Beatles are bad. I would never argue that they're not visionary and genre changing and world changing because when they, because they've changed all media everywhere.
So why can't you like that about them, I guess is what I'm saying. Why can't you acknowledge these songs are incredible in that they're genre changing rather than just, oh, I don't like the sound of them?
Lots of stuff is genre changing.
Because I'd
Stephen
argue the
King
opposite.
is genre changing, but I hate his books.
Take Smash Mouth's "Walking on the Sun," a song that I always enjoyed. It was
Kind
their
of
first
disagree
debut.
that that's genre changing.
It takes some risks, but then Smash Mouth managed to parlay that success into we know the rest of the story. It's a lot of Shrek soundtrack.
Soundtrack.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
No.
It really worked for that movie.
And I hate the song Now I'm a Believer. Hate that song,
I
even the
think
original, but the Smash Mouth version is especially
I think
atrocious.
the Shrek version, where they've got Eddie Murphy singing it as Donkey and John, what was it, who played Farquaad? John Good? No, not John Goodman.
John Lithgow?
Lithgow. Good job, Tom. That John Lithgow going, staying alive from inside the dragon is
my God.
hilarious. Anywho,
That was my least favorite part of the movie, right there.
have you
when
seen
they-
the musical? It's on Netflix. The
haven't.
musical is so good.
The musical is good.
It's
Is it?
amazing. Yes.
Most of the songs are just dead on.
Yeah, the
Okay.
guy who plays Lord Farquaad plays it on his knees. So he's like a tall guy.
He's got
but
like the little fake feet.
Yeah,
He's
it's-
totally
and he dances. He does like Broadway dance numbers in it. It's so
God,
good.
who's that? Dwarf. Tim Conway's character.
I never saw Dwarf
The
stuff.
Dwarf is a guy with little legs. It's Tim Conway on his knees, and he teaches you how to play golf, and he has a weird voice.
All
It's
that
Tim
being
Conway humor. It's kind of an acquired taste.
All that being said, I don't know if you should take my recommendations because of how we disagree on stuff. So, and it doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't like it.
But we're not here to talk about the Shrek the musical or the comedy stylings of Tim
I
Conway.
think we should get back on track.
Yeah.
Good Day Sunshine.
How's that one go?
It's Good Day
Oh, yeah, that one.
Sunshine. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
And I have no strong opinions about that one. That one's
This one,
Okay,
it's not
I
a
guess.
huge hit for me. Tom?
I've never heard it.
Let me tell you the stuff I hate, okay? Because we could be here all
Okay,
day
yes.
naming songs
Yeah.
that I've never heard.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Okay. So here's my hate it pile.
All right, here we go.
Baby, you can drive my car.
Insane.
All right.
Baby, you can drive my car. Catchy chorus. It's upbeat.
It's not good to listen to over and over again.
Well, no song is good to listen to over and over again. You
Disagree.
need variety, but it's a fun song. It's simple. It's a summer movie equivalent. All right, next one. Next one.
Ticket to Ride. We would discuss this.
Yeah, crazy.
Yep. We Can Work It Out. We can work it out.
I can do without that song.
Thank
That
you,
one,
Tom.
I like the second part. We can't get sued if it's us singing poorly.
Especially poorly. Eleanor Rigby, we discussed. This one, I'm worried Tom's going to hit me. Revolution. I don't like Revolution.
I like that song.
Revolution is a great song. However, I would have the complaint that John Lennon at the beginning whispering, "Shoot me," over and over again.
I don't think I ever heard him whisper that.
Oh, yeah.
But I
So
think
that
I've also
beginning-
only heard this song like on the radio and at work.
You know, when you
Tin
hear
Can
it in
music.
passing, I didn't realize this until we played the Beatles Rock Band on Xbox 360, which was a hell of a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But what you think is that...
That's a different song, babe.
Let's come together.
That's coming. Yeah.
Ron,
Where do you
can we
feel
edit
on
out this part?
Please don't edit this out, Ron.
It's hot and I'm tired and I'm having a mental breakdown.
Ron, I'm winning. Don't edit any of this out.
You say you want a revolution.
That's why I love Ron best.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
all
so
wanna
Revolution.
change the
So
world.
I don't like Revolution, and I
Oh,
don't
so
like
good.
Getting Better, and I don't like them for the same reason. They thump along too much.
Oh, some songs have to have a good taste.
Thud, 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 thud.
Tom liked
There it is.
that.
There it
Tom,
is.
your thoughts as a musician? The only... I mean, you are both musically talented.
No.
I don't
He
have
is.
that distinction.
But what's the name of that song you were just
Getting
talking?
Better?
Getting Better.
Got to believe.
better all the time. Getting so much better.
Honestly, I don't think I have an opinion on that song because I don't think I've ever heard. I know I probably heard it before, but it's not like.
Yeah, I didn't connect.
It's not.
in your
It's
head.
not triggering any memory in my
Used
head.
to be angry old man, me holding me head in
Welcome
me
back to
hands.
Mower Sings the Beatles.
Right? I would listen to
Actually,
the shit out of
I
that
want to
podcast.
skip ahead. Did you
Yeah.
listen to the White album?
So I've never sat down and listened to a Beatles album where I'm gonna go like, you know what, I'm gonna listen from start to finish this Beatles
I
album.
was playing a lot of them. Thank you to the Amazon Alexa
That's how I heard
for
Rocky
facilitating
Raccoon.
that.
And it was like, oh, I've never heard this song before. Oh, this is a weird kid's song. Why are the Beatles singing it?
Okay.
Her initial reaction, we got maybe 10 seconds in that first bar. This is a story of a young man named Rocky Raccoon. And she's like, oh, I hate this. Which is, I'm going to say it over and over again. It's crazy. What's wrong with you? You're going to be raising my child?
Yeah.
So one
All right.
song
You
off
get-
of the White album, Helter Skelter. What are your thoughts on that song?
How's that one go?
Don't you want me to break you? Or take you?
Something like that.
Can you tell me like what the
that
chorus
one's kind
line
of a
is?
messy one. That's pretty
Skelter.
much.
This
This one's going to be a louder one, so I want you to brace yourself.
It's
I
their
don't terribly
heaviest-
like
It's their heaviest song.
Wild Honey Pie.
Wild Honey Pie.
Yeah, so hold on. This is Helter Skelter. I'm sure Ron will edit so as to make it sound a lot cleaner. Helter Skelter by Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson.
Yep.
Really?
See,
It's
I
it's
totally
one of the
get
first
that
metal
where-
songs that's ever been written.
Yeah, I've never heard this song.
Arguably
It's
one
definitely
of the first metal songs that's ever been written and
It's
recorded.
definitely not what I associate with the Beatles.
It's not, but it's an amazing song, and it's 5 minutes long because they decide to get weird with it.
Well, Tom, for you, I will listen to it, and then I will put my opinion on the Facebook group.
4
Yes,
minutes
please.
and 29 seconds. Let me... I think I've got one that she'll like less than that, which is Wild Honey Pie.
I too tend to not like their frantic stuff, which is like under that I've got Back in the USSR, Got to Get You Into My Life, Paperback Writer.
Are these are songs that you don't like?
I don't
These
like
are
'cause-
songs she doesn't
I
like.
don't like
okay.
because they're too frantic.
Which it confuses the rules for me. Okay, that's fair. I
know?
guess you like that certain poppy beat without going
my
overboard.
musical tastes are very eclectic. All right, so I don't like
Everyone's
everything
are,
of
though.
anybody's,
Yes.
stuff. Even people who like I love, like their entire discography. Weird Al, I will listen to any Weird Al songs, and there's stuff of his that I don't like, but even like I will still listen to his albums all day long.
Yes. Tom, would you say there are any artists where you're like, I just like everything I hear from them?
Yes, there are plenty of artists like that. Too many to name, so I'm not even going to bother with it.
Did you ever hear the death metal band that was headed by great British actor, former SS? No, that's not right. British Secret Service.
Yes.
The
SAS.
Former SAS agent and full-time Saruman, Christopher Lee. Apparently, his band is fantastic. May he rest in peace. Just a fantastic individual. So when they were filming The Two Towers, which is part of your top five, correct?
Yeah.
The director, it might have been Peter Jackson, it might have been one of his underlings, came up to Christopher Lee for the scene where he's fighting Gandalf, and he's describing like the facial expressions that you're making and the physical posture you're taking when you're strangling a man. And Christopher Lee looks at him and goes, I do not need you to explain what it's like to choke a man to death. Because he totally did that shit.
He was in a Escape from Witch Mountain sequel.
Shit, was he?
Yeah, he played like one of, there was like him and I don't know, someone.
But you're talking about Saruman.
Saruman.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was also Count Dooku in
Yes.
episode 2.
Correct. Oh, he's got
Yeah.
so many roles. He was in Strange Brew. No, wait.
No, that's
he
Max.
wasn't.
That was
God.
Max von Sydow.
I'm in
Say.
such poor form. Do not confuse him with Max von Sydow. Okay, he was in the new Willy Wonka, but we don't hold that against him.
No, he was in a bunch of old vampire movies. Old,
Yes.
like Helsing movies.
He was in what was it? It's
Everything.
a werewolf movie. Like The Changing 2? I don't know.
Let's
That's
get
not-
back, let's
not
get back
really
on
important.
track here.
Thank you, Tom.
He's awesome. So I'm going to play a song from the White Album. I'm interested to hear both your thoughts. This is Wild Honey Pie.
I already hate it.
That's fair.
Oh, this song?
This is
This is the Beatles. This is from the back side of the White Album.
don't want to say like things like this are why people shouldn't experiment, but this is why people shouldn't experiment.
You know,
I like it.
the thing
It's-
about
it's a-
experimentation is that not everything's going to work.
So
and
I-
that was literally half the song we just listened to.
I like that song because it's dumb. And you know how I feel about dumb songs. I have that playlist with all the terrible songs on there.
Yep.
My guilty pleasure playlist. I'd have to say that is playlist worthy right there.
Guilty pleasure means something
that's
like not that causes you pain, but like it's just like, ooh, it's a little naughty. Like that
It's
I
a
would
song
argue
that
is
you
garbage.
don't want to admit that you like, but you really like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people won't admit that they like Cotton Eye Joe, but when it comes on,
I fucking love Cotton Eye Joe.
I'm with
All
you,
right, well,
Ron. I like
Ron
Cotton Eye
will.
Joe.
Ron, no one was asking for your fucking opinion.
We have that at the wedding. You guys should have that at your wedding.
Not gonna happen.
Aw.
the only other one that comes to mind, is that not what it's called? Revolution Number 9, I believe, is the name
think
of
that's
it.
I
Revolution.
hate that song.
No, it's not.
No?
It's another one from... God, where's Steve Drake when you need him? It's another one from the backside of the White Album, which is the first collaboration of John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
I don't know.
Boy, does it show.
The only song
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
that's when they lost me. There was it's number 9.
the only John and
Number
Yoko song
9.
I know of is their Christmas one. I love you, John. I love you, Yoko. But no, so thinking also about their experimental stuff, I tend not to like stuff that people tell me that is best when enjoyed in an altered state of mind.
Okay, I found it. Revolution 9. Ready for this?
Oh, good.
No.
You're not ready for this.
All I hear are people talking.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a spoken word song?
Sort of.
Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9.
Now, the last one we played half of, this song is 8 minutes and 22
It
seconds.
is that number 9.
Let's cut to the middle of the song and see where they're
The
at
wreck
in
of
their
the Edmund
creative.
Fitzgerald?
Go ahead and do that and see what happens.
Is this just like?
I think that's just them goofing
I
around
know. Did
in
they
the
just like
studio.
take a recorder with them like through the crowds of?
It sounds like they're at a baseball game.
I could believe that. I could believe that's the sounds of like the Blitz. It could be anything.
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna really shock you and say I don't like that one.
I'm going to go ahead and look up the history to that.
This is
Why
not good
the White
podding.
Album not on here. All right, well, screw it then. All right, other song. Let's take a quick break because I'm cooking, and I'm sure you guys are too. We'll be right back with more of the Coat Check. Ron, open the damn door. Welcome back to the Coat Check. I'm the cute one, Jeremy Mower.
I'm the hot one, Tom Dominkovich.
And Peggy.
And I'm Ringo.
No, and I'm also Bridget.
So we've been discussing the Beatles and Bridget's absolutely caliente takes. We could keep listing songs all day. I know, Bridget, you have some more points you want to get to.
Yes.
I do want to take a brief interlude real quick and discuss in a new segment which Beatle would you beat up?
Ooh.
Okay? So you've got 4 Beatles. Let's go through the pros and cons. John. Oh, by the way, the fact that 2 of them are dead does not feature into this.
Yeah, do we get to pick like the time period of when they're of the one we'd beat up? Or
I'm going to say yes.
okay.
So
Except for that they have to be alive.
yes.
Okay.
So John Lennon. Strengths. Clearly feels that he's fighting the righteous fight. Could have interference from Yoko Ono at any time. I imagine his fighting style would be strange and interpretive and likely based on Himalayans, just like whatever monk fighting style they have. Weaknesses. He can clearly be startled from behind.
Oh. Oh, no. Jeremy.
Paul McCartney will definitely help you. And I'm sure if you say Revolution number 9 sucks, like, he'll just be in such a frothing rage he won't be able to focus.
So I know next to nothing about George Harrison. Like, what do either of you know anything at all about George Harrison?
George Harrison was the one who was famous for the great song that I know you don't like,
Yes, but
While
like,
My Guitar Gently Weeps.
I mean, like, physically, like, was he stocky? Was he slender?
I don't
Did he
think
have a
any of them were
beard?
particularly
Like,
stocky.
No,
I
they-
do believe he had a beard.
They were all pretty much the same size.Ringo was the little one, but I have to say,
The what?
And I
What?
think
the little one.
Oh, the little. Sorry, I
Yeah,
thought
that's a
the
Washington thing.
L-I apostrophe L.
Yeah,
okay.
lull.
I thought you said the lull one. I was
Lil
like, I don't know what
Ringo,
that means.
he's good on drums.
Sort of.
Are we counting Pete Best?
Let's see. So, anything else to add for John Lennon in a fight?
I don't think
He's
he'd
got
be able to-
glasses,
Yeah,
so you
he's
could like
short-sighted
take
or
him away
something.
from him and then punch him.
Yeah.
'Cause you're not supposed to punch people.
Oh,
with
and he's
glasses,
got a
I'm
big
told.
old nose. So, like, I'm sure it's one of those things where his tear ducts are just ready to be busted open with that first pop. Just bam, his nose is in
Do you
5
think
pieces.
that Paul McCartney's ex-wife, the one with the wooden leg,
That's
like
a
would
thing.
hit him with it?
I did
Oh,
not
yeah,
know she has a wooden
She
leg.
was on. Well, I imagine it's not wooden, but it's she's got a prosthetic.
That's kind of a big difference.
She's got a prosthetic leg.
She doesn't have a peg leg, though.
Yeah,
It's not-
she's not a pirate.
Okay.
Although
Is this Linda McCartney we're talking
no,
about?
no,
or-
no,
Okay.
it's the one
Before.
2 after her. I don't know how many times he's
Wait,
been
how
married.
many wives has he had?
I don't know. It's several, but they divorced, and it was a big deal. But then she ended up on either the American or the British Dancing with the Stars, and people went ape because she divorced Paul McCartney, and everyone was like, "You are a horrid shrew. We hate you." So I don't want to take her in a fight, but I would imagine, like, I always had visions of like, oh man, I bet she hit him with her prosthetic. Which I like. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Paul McCartney fan, but because everyone was like, oh, Paul. No, not everyone, but okay. Back, if you asked the women who lived in peak Beatles times, like, oh, you were a George girl or a John girl or a Paul girl, and everybody was a
I love
Paul
how you
girl.
didn't include Ringo girls.
Nobody was a Ringo girl.
No one.
I'm a Ringo girl.
But I could never get it. I was like, he's a little pinhead. Why do people think he's so attractive? He looks tired and he's got a pinhead.
His face does look like he's been stung by bees.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Paul McCartney. I feel like he's a bit bigger than the rest, just like a hair.
You mean thicker?
Yeah,
Okay.
thicker and just a bit taller.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing him with Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry's huge.
So he's clearly the best at holding a grudge. Paul McCartney, when he came out with his first solo album, Ram, he snuck 2 Beatles fucking on the back cover to show John screwing him over.
Oh, okay, like actual Beatles.
Actual, like,
I
the
thought
Bugs,
you
yes.
meant like Ringo and John.
Now I'm imagining, like, Paul getting fucked by John, but with, like, those carnival caricatures of them where they're, like, skateboarding or something. Let's see. He also...
Segment is taking forever, just so you know.
It's a great segment. I stand by my work.
We can edit all of this out.
Aw.
But no, so I not knowing anything about George, he's my favorite. My second favorite is Ringo because he was a conductor on Shining Time Station.
Yes.
Followed by George Carlin.
Ringo clearly has the least desire to live, which makes him the most dangerous, in my mind.
You know what? Honestly,
he's got the least to lose.
I'd pick John just because he looks so slender. I bet I could take him.
I'd have to say John, too. I have too much respect for George Harrison and Paul McCartney. So
Poor
I'd
fucking Ringo.
Well, Ringo's just,
Ringo, you're not worth it.
Ringo can watch, but
I have a soft spot in my heart for Ringo because of Shining Time Station, but not musically. I don't.
Let's see. God, I think
Thomas the Tank Engine.
I mean, I'm tempted to say George Harrison because he came out with that horrible whatever gets you through the night. All right. That song after they broke up, and it's a horrible song that I have to hear at work constantly. Like, if I hear a song twice in a day, I believe it'll be that. But that said, probably John. John was apparently an asshole.
I believe that. They say a lot of like creative geniuses are also major assholes, and he is a creative genius, and I believe that he was probably one of the worst humans.
Let me ask you, Tom, because I love segues, and that's the only thing that makes this podcast bearable. Bridget and I both have a theory that Pat Sajak is a horrible, just like unforgivable monster.
I don't know what Pat Sajak's role on Wheel of Fortune is anymore. Vanna is doing all the work.
It seems like he's negging Vanna, where like last night I was watching, and he pointed out like the marking strip on the floor, and he's like, oh, all right, we should stand here. That'll be fine. And then like on the first puzzle, Vanna went to touch the screen, which she literally has no control over, clearly. But like the first letter of the first puzzle wouldn't go. And he's like, anytime now, Vanna. Oh. Dude seems like an asshole. Your thoughts, Tom?
I have no clue what the fuck you're talking about.
Have you ever seen Wheel of Fortune?
Not really, no.
Holy shit!
I'm not big into that, no. I've seen, like, maybe a couple of shows.
Tom,
like,
do you hate game shows?
I'm not too fond of game shows.
Oh my god,
Wow.
we just got a new topic. I'm gonna write that down before I forget.
Yeah, I also have like a ton of suggestions for you guys, which we won't do on the podcast here. But like, I have so many suggestions about things you hate. Like, I bet you hate going to movie theaters.
No, I like movie theaters. I don't like the movie theater prices, but I like movie theaters.
Actually, you know what? I think I'm changing my answer to Ringo. Because I have a feeling that all the other Beatles just picked on him fucking relentlessly.
I believe that.
So that if I threaten to hit him, he'd just like cower.
Cower,
No,
Oh,
don't
poor
hit
Ringo.
Curl up in the fetal position, just
Peace
lay
and
there
love,
like a
peace
slug.
and love.
Let's get Ron in here. Ron, who would you like to beat up?
What?
Out of all the Beatles?
Guys, I've been playing Spider Solitaire. What the hell is going
You
on?
guys are still talking?
That's fair.
Guys, we haven't been recording for 20 minutes.
Kanye West.
I agree. That's a hot take, Ron. That's a hot take.
Okay, speaking of damaging the Beatles.
Yes.
All right. So, I would say that among some of the things that the Beatles have, some of the ways the Beatles have harmed the world, in addition to putting out that Revolver number 9, whatever it's Revolution 9?
It's something.
Revolution 9.
Revolution 9, which
8.5
Jesus
minutes
Christ,
on the White
they
Album.
They needed Ron in that sound booth that day to be like, guys, no, this is, please stop.
We'll knock this down to 30 seconds.
One of the things that I guess they didn't have any control over, but they did contribute to it, was the world's worst film, Birdemic.
Don't you know that these birds are attacking?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, no, because that specifically. So we all here have watched Birdemic, some of us multiple
Unfortunately, yes.
times.
Yeah.
If you have not seen this movie, it's available
Let Jeremy
on
explain it
Netflix.
to you, even though I was the one talking.
Guys, come on. Let's not do this.
All right, you tell your side of the story, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, no, you were just doing the backstory, so, which I could have done.
Mower, stop making that face.
Go for it.
In the film Birdemic, which honestly you should watch, but looking at me weird.
No, it's so funny. He's just like so mad at you right
He's
now.
really angry because I told him to stop mansplaining. The film Birdemic is really bad, but you should check out the riff tracks of it because that makes it bearable. It features several times references to the song Imagine, which wasn't Beatles, was it? It was just John Lennon.
There we go.
Yep.
You
Okay.
stepped on that goddamn landmine. I could have told you that. Fuck you.
Sam is sleeping in the other room, so don't worry. Don't call CPS. But there's several references to Imagine, which is from John Lennon, who achieved greatness through the Beatles.
So,
And so I would say that anything that is in that movie hurts the world, from Imagine to Vietnamese restaurant to the gifs of eagles that are peppered through that film. So I
but you
don't,
can't pin all that on John Lennon. You
I
could
can
pin it on Yoko
pin
Ono.
like probably 65% of it on John Lennon.
Yoko Ono sold the rights to that, or rather,
If John Lennon hadn't gotten himself shot, it would have been fine. Yeah, you want to explain further why I'm wrong?
You pretty much tripped on it yourself.
I didn't
That
trip
was
on
John
it.
Lennon post Beatles.
Post Beatles, not pre whatever he called himself after the Beatles.
I will say, John Lennon has to be one of the most pretentious musicians of all time.
I
And
wrote
this
that
is
down
after
here.
we mentioned Kanye. Because you think about songs like Imagine, where it's, if there was no religion, I wonder if you can. He's even being, like, patronizing to the listener, the person who bought his music. And just talking about, like, guys, it's so easy to have world peace. You should all just listen to me. Not to mention a Christmas song that, while not the worst Christmas song that the Beatles ever produced, still very bad.
Yeah, the worst one, I believe, because I read that written down as well. Paul McCartney is simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Also not while with the Beatles. Really, if anything, you're proving my point, which is that if they'd kept the Beatles together forcibly, possibly under gunpoint, though we've learned that works better for some Beatles than others, then they wouldn't have made all this shitty singles music.
Or if we just kept them with the buckets of fried chicken in Germany, then we wouldn't have any of this stuff, and music would have gone in a completely different direction, and we'd all be listening to, I don't know, like Trololo for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, but like, if the Beatles are influential,
Yes.
that isn't a debated point.
Nope.
No one's like, you know what song really inspired me is Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
But it happened after, because Paul McCartney achieved this level of, I would say, notoriety through the Beatles.
Ooh.
You're going to tell me his best years were during Wings?
No, I'm telling you, his best years were with the Beatles, so that makes it not notoriety. He then proceeded to, he did all right with Wings. Let's be honest. Wings isn't a bad band. And the fact that when I speak to Paul McCartney being really vindictive, so he was having success with Wings, and someone asked John Lennon at the time what he thought, and Lennon's like, anyone can get rich running vapid little songs about love, like it takes no talent at all, to which Paul McCartney wrote just another pretty little love song, or whatever the proper name of it is, which proceeded to be a gold record and just took off, and it's just a nice little fuck you to John. But yeah, like no one's saying, what my inspiration was Wings.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
I think that's actually the setup to a joke where someone's like, you gotta think about different musicians, Prince and David Bowie and Paul McCartney. Oh, you mean the guy from Wings?
I don't know. I feel like my point was made. So that they achieved the rest of this stuff, which was not 90% garbage, maybe 70, but because they achieved the fame they did for the Beatles. So I'm saying they got to the highest heights with their early stuff, with Can't Buy Me Love, with Twist and Shout, with, those early screaming girls tearing their hair out to get at them. And then they're just like, well, okay, time to ride this into the ground.
I don't know, that sounds more like the Rolling Stones to me.
I have no opinion on the Rolling Stones.
Like, we've written 3 good songs. Let's just ride that wave until we're all dead, which admittedly taken a lot longer than we thought.
And then their later stuff is so heavily influenced by drugs that someone who is not straight edge, but like definitely feeling that I don't need to consume any illicit substance. Sorry, Tom, I'm not interested in legalizing it.
Oh, God. Oh, this was going so well.
That, like, if I need to be in an altered state to enjoy the music, maybe it's bad music.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? You've probably got a point, because I've never tried it. Don't wanna.
Okay.
I'm willing to let you two go back and forth for a bit.
Space Odyssey was garbage. Not the song.
Oh,
not the song.
thank
I really
God.
enjoyed the song. Sorry. 2001: A Space Odyssey, the film by Stanley Kubrick, is about 20 minutes of interesting content, and then it got stupid.
I saw it many, many years ago. I don't remember a whole lot of it, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most interesting bit is about the big computer who turns against the humans.
Yeah.
HAL 9000.
Yeah, but that whole plot takes maybe half an hour.
I identify with HAL.
You have a murderous rage against all humans.
I mean, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Oh boy, this conversation. We've branched into a lot of uncomfortable stuff.
Yeah, do you want to go back of just you listing songs and me going,
Guys, you see what I have to deal with. You think this is a bit, but no, I come home from a long, hard day of podcasting, and she's like, you sure did. I just, you know what it is, Bridget? I need, in our relationship, some love.
I thought you were going to say a prenup.
It's a little late for that. Tom, here's a hot tip
post-nup?
for your wedding. If you're looking for a prenup, make sure you get it done before the wedding.
Okay.
No, I was about to say, I can't buy me love.
I mean, I don't know. You make enough money to keep us comfortable, but I don't know if you could afford, like, to keep me as a kept woman.
Like a concubine?
I mean, if you're paying me a salary, or is it per diem?
I just like name you a consultant. Come on, we live in the 21st century.
I'm an independent contractor.
So, I think we've discussed a lot of what we wanted to discuss. Do you guys have any other thoughts? Bridget, did you have more that you want to put out there as to why you hate the Beatles?
I think also their fans are... I think anybody's diehard fans are awful, including the Beatles. So when I'm like... I was discussing this with Bales the other day, one of our buddies. I was like, Bales, do you like the Beatles? He goes, love them. I'm like, oh, all right, never mind. And he goes, why? And I'm like, because I don't like them. And he goes, well, you're an idiot.
Wow. For frame of reference, Mike Bailey is a manager at our store. Might be a slight abuse of power, I'm thinking.
You know what? He's in a band. So
He's
I
a deadhead.
which also I can always tell when a Grateful Dead song is on the radio because it goes like this: boinka boinka boink 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 boinka boink boink.
The problem for me is I can never tell when a Grateful Dead song is off the radio. Easy Pete shot. Pete shots?
Peach shots?
Cheap shots.
Oh, cheap shots. Okay. I didn't know if that was like a coat shot thing I had missed was what a peach shot is.
I don't know what that is.
Buy the shirt. Pete shots.
No, so I don't like diehard fans of anything because I don't like being called an idiot. I mean, Bill said it and that was funny, but it's like, oh, because I don't like the thing you like, that makes me a moron. It's like, nah, I get I get the Beatles are influential. I get that they're creative geniuses.
They're so influential.
Yeah.
Without the Beatles, you don't have Bowie. You don't have... I mean, granted, these last 20 years have been kind of a dark period for music history. Though you were listening to Pitbull earlier.
Yeah, but that was a joke. Because I told Jeremy I was going to take him down. And then... Or, like, that he was going down. And then I told our Echo to turn on... Going down. Wait,
this
what's it
episode
called?
brought to you by Amazon.
And so then I was singing along with apparently Kesha, who was and going, he's going down.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
I know I talked about this before we started recording in this super hot closet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know I probably should have saved this, but I told you this. I'm going to say it again. As a musician, it's easy to get swept up in just one song, and then you really, really like that song, so then you start making songs that sound just like that, but it doesn't have a whole lot of variety. I sort of feel that way with the earlier Beatles stuff. Even though it's good, it's energetic, it's poppy, it's very uplifting, it's a good, feel-good band, but a lot of their songs, they blur together. Mm-hmm. But with drugs, I know, drugs are bad, okay, all of that. But it does open up a little bit. It opens your brain up to new possibilities, to new thoughts. It will get you venturing into different places that you've never been before within your mind. So it helps out with the creative process with writing songs. Now you're writing songs that have weird structures, like... Sgt. Pepper, Lonely Heart Club Band. I was learning that song on bass, and I was having a hard time keeping up because the structure of the song is just all over the place. Rather than it just being intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, end, it's totally different from that. And the drugs, marijuana,
Legalize it.
all of that good stuff that I know you guys love to do.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely helps with the creative process. It gets you thinking in ways that you've never really thought before.
Yeah, but
Love
then
to
you
shoot that marijuana.
then you get pigeonholed though, because when he came out with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, people are like, oh, this is clearly about LSD, and he has said that, like he said multiple times, like, nah, guys, this was my kid came home with a drawing that when he asked him about what it was, like, oh, this is Lucy and she's in the sky with diamonds. And I was like, if your fan base who adore you are willfully misunderstanding you, then I would argue that your art is no longer working for you.
I do agree with your premise saying that, like, the early Beatles, yes, really good stuff, but they definitely went off the rails. And it got a little too weird. I know we mentioned Revolution 9. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit track where they must have been super stoned, tripping on LSD, and they're just in the studio making a whole bunch of noises, and like, boom, there's a song, 8 minutes. The first time I heard the White Album, I'm listening to this song, I'm like, when the fuck is it going to end? And I eventually just skip the track. You don't want that on a CD. You don't want filler on a CD. You want it to be all killer. You want it to be
all
really...
killer, no filler?
All killer, no filler.
We should put that on a T-shirt.
There's a lot of
It's-
shit.
Everyone
It's a Sum 41 album. It's exactly where I got it from. So you want a CD that is just all amazing, and even though they're experimenting and they're trying new things, it doesn't always work. But you got to give them credit for trying. But they did go off the rails before they broke up. Yeah. So I agree with you more. I agree with you, Bridget. I think we have fought to an impasse.
I
agree.
would like to make a point before we wrap up. First of all, Bridget, is it all right with you if I make a point?
Yes, Jeremy.
Are you going Professor Moore over here?
First things first. Tom,
yes.
You used the phrase, I agree with your premise a few minutes ago. I just wanted to say I am proud like the baby papa.
Did I use that correctly?
You did.
Okay, wow.
And you just sent it right in there.
Right in there.
Smooth.
Thank you.
That said, I would like to relate to a current-day band, Mumford & Sons. Mm-hmm. Mumford & Sons became big with their debut album where they're playing banjo and they're doing something new and people like this sound. And then the music industry got their hands on Mumford & Sons, and their later albums, certainly the last one that came out, is much more generic guitar. You know, it's music that you can hear anywhere. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, Tom, because I think I already told Bridget the answer to this. The year the White Album came out, do you know what the #1 best-selling album was?
I haven't a clue. No, that came out in like the late 60s?
Yes, I think 67.
I couldn't tell you.
It was the Archies, Sugar Sugar.
Are you serious?
The Archies, not a real band.
No, they're not.
What happened was a recording company, I forget which one and I apologize, bought the rights to the comic book band, the Archies, and then they just had a rotating cast of guest fillers to perform the music, and that is what sold that year. Mm-hmm. I think there's a temptation to make music samey, and once you're known, you slip into that comfortable beat like the Rolling Stones have. I'm sorry I'm dumping all over them, but fuck those guys. And the fact that the Beatles were so successful, so profanely successful from when they started on Ed McMahon, and yet they still said, you know what, let's keep trying new things. Let's keep exploring new territory. There's something beautiful about that a lot of bands don't try to do, and that's why I respect them. That's why even the misses, I'm not a fan of Wild Honey Pie. I'm not a fan of Revolution 9. Really, the entire backside of the White Album, I could probably do without like 80% of it. I think Rocky Raccoon might be on the back. But the fact that they were willing to try new things all the way to Abbey Road where they're playing on a rooftop, just, I find inspiring to a degree.
It is inspiring.
And that is why I like and support the Beatles. It's not just that I can yell at you guys on a podcast. It's because they did what so few others would be willing to do. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this topic is exhausted. Bridget, is there anything you're doing that you want to put out there for our 5 listeners to keep track of? I don't know. Do you have a podcast?
No.
Are you on TV?
I was.
Stand-up specials?
If you guys Google me, which please don't, you might find my previous modeling career in Japan as a child.
I don't think we can go into that legally speaking.
No.
I also had a modeling career when I was in college.
Wait, really?
Not a modeling career, but it's a good story. I was working at the bookstore at my university, and one guy comes up to me and goes, "Hold out your hand." So I hold out my hand, and then he puts a whole bunch of dollar bills in my hand. And he's like, "All right, now smile." So I smiled. And he took a picture, and he's like, "All right, now you're going to be on T-shirts. You're going to be on buttons."
You're a stock photo.
So I was like the poster boy for FAFSA, for student loans. I was fucking everywhere.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
And what's actually really cool is like I had to leave. I got kicked out of school because I sucked at school. It's not a.
That wasn't the joke.
That's
not
not.
funny.
It's not a joke.
No, but the fact that you were the face of FAFSA, and
you had your identity stolen how many times?
Shut up. Anyways, so even after I got kicked out of school, I was everywhere. I was in the cafeteria. I was in the halls of every single building, of just holding out, and actually got recognized. I got fucking recognized as the kid on the fast food poster when I went in to visit a couple of friends, and they're like, "You look so familiar. Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the fast food guy." And they're like, "Okay, so hold up like some money." And so I held up some money and I reenact the whole thing. And they're like, "You're the fast food guy." I was like, "Yeah."
Are you making this all up?
I am not.
This is incredible.
I am seriously not making it up.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was recording with a celebrity. This feels more accomplished.
So that is my modeling career.
Holy shit.
Was that one?
Wow.
I was fucking everywhere, and it was almost like I was
And he
like
was
a ghost.
fucking everywhere.
I was fucking
Women just drop their panties for the guy.
No,
Oh my goodness.
they didn't. They didn't.
No.
Nothing gets me wetter than student loans. Okay, well, this has been a fantastic episode by our standards.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank
for
you so
coming.
much for coming on, Bridget. If you have other things that you want to do, maybe we both yell at him about game shows, because holy shit, is
I
that
think
a bad
you can
take?
do that without me.
Well,
I'm
we'd
not-
be happy to have you on.
And I'm not
anytime.
looking forward to that one. I don't feel that strongly about game. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
I hate them, but I wouldn't say that I would actively watch a game show. Like
That
Family
is
Feud
crazy to me.
Family Feud is okay, but that's like the only one I've ever watched, and that's because it was the only thing in English when I was in Montreal to watch on TV was Family Feud.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That does it for this episode. I really think there's only one song that can properly play us out. You guys know what's coming. Let's get this fired up.
Somebody
Thank you. You've been listening to the Coat Check. I'm Jeremy Mower with my co-host Tom Domakovich and special guest Bridget Mower. If you have any questions or feedback for the podcast, email us at ihatethis stupid podcast@gmail.com. You can follow me at ManMythMower on Twitter. You can follow Tom on TDomandCo on Twitter. Special thanks to Ron, our executive producer. Thank you to Nick, our sound guy. Please don't take all our stuff when you go. And thank you so much for listening. Join us next week when I talk about why I don't like pet owners who dress their pets. Ron, please play us out with a real song, please. Thanks for listening.
That was a mistake on your part.
That was phenomenal.
That was really good.
I feel like we ended strong. Sorry, Ron. You got 2 hours of garbage to go through. I gotta keep it.
Yeah. Everyone out.
The water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored.